Maybe you want to test your value proposition, adding social proof, or just putting click here on every button on your page. Whatever it is, in this video, you're going to learn how to set up your A/B split testing so that it is statistically accurate and everything is captured in your Bubble database. As we get started here on the video, we will take a note that the objective of what we're aiming to do whenever we're running split test is to understand out of all the people who see each version, what percentage convert. We're not really collecting views, right? If the same person comes 10 times and converts once, we actually want a 1 value for their visit and a 1 value for their conversion. We don't want 10 for their them reloading the page, navigating around. That just wouldn't be a statistically good test. So we are going to, in this video, work through a very statistically valid version of A/B split testing. And here's what we're going to cover. We're going to see the scenario overview where we'll look at a flowchart of basically all the events that would happen when you are setting up an A/B split test on your page. The users coming there, what's happening in the background, things are being chosen, which version they're getting put into, and we're going to see the data structure for that, a grid guide that's going to help us, match our data to the flow chart of what is happening. We are going to set up the test and add that all to our database. I'll show you where. So if you're planning on your Bubble app to have multiple tests running, you'll get a spot in the option set area to list out all of your tests. When you have those tests set up, we'll go over to the database where you'll set up the data for each of your versions. You'll see this structure in a moment. It'll all make sense, I promise. Then we will set up the workflows for making this all happen, and we will go and do some testing. Okay, first let's go and we're going to take a look at our test page here. What we're going to do is we want to test, let's say this is our value proposition, right? And we want it to say a couple different things, and then we're going to record, what happens when someone clicks one of these purple buttons, which is our main call to action. Okay, so let's take a look at the flow of events and our data structure. So what we're going to do here is we're going to work on our flow of events, then we'll visit how our data structure fits this. The user arrives to the home page. They check and see if this person has been there before. Again, like I mentioned at the start, it's very important that we only count unique users. So we want to put something on the user record. And yes, because Bubble adds a cookie for non-logged in users, it persists when they come back to the site. As long as they're using the same device, same browser, they will be put into the same test. Anyways, let's check out if they have been there. We will show them the previous version. We will look up which version they saw, and we'll show that to them, and then we will not count it as a new view. So that one is pretty easy, but then on this one here, let's see what we'll do. If it is their first visit, we'll assign them a version. So we'll start a record, and to remember which version they'll use, we'll randomly pick a version, we'll store the version, and show it to them. We'll take that version and show it to them. We'll save the one that they got shown, and this then is now attached to their personal history. So you can see what I'm outlining here. I'm breaking it down into itty bitty bites because it's like this one, save which version they got. That's an action in the workflow. It's saved to the version. Then we take that and we attach it to the person on the user record, right? So these are going to be our workflow actions that we'll see in this video. Okay, we'll blaze through this and then we'll get into the setup. So add one to the view count for their assigned version. So if we have A, B, and C, and they get put into version B, we increment the views by 1, because I'll show in a second where this is all leading to for your calculations. So based on what they've been randomly selected into, we'll show them that banner version or homepage banner, hero image area, which is just the word for this area. And then when they click on the button or complete the desired action, in this case it'll be that purple button, we'll check which version that they were shown, and then we'll count a conversion for that version. So that is where we are headed. Let's go ahead now. Let's look at here on our calculator. So what we're tracking here really is we are tracking the number of views and conversions for every version of the test that we have. So we're going to run 3 versions here. And let's also just take a brief look at somebody else out in the world that has done this type of stuff. So we can see they had it. This is HubSpot, very famous marketing tool. They have a variant A that is control. This is their homepage. Next, they went with variant B here for this, which changed it to this design. Then they had variant C of this design. So they're trying to see what's going to happen. So they found out that variant B outperformed the control by 6%, variant C underperformed. For their amount of traffic, for these numbers, we see that it is quite the lift of 375 more signups every month. So these things can really add up. So we've taken a look at our flowchart. Now we're going to take a look at the grid guide and the data structure. So we kind of understand what's going on here for the flow of things. In fact, this list in plain English is the exact same as this user flow events, except that the return visits are just added, into this flow here. So here's kind of what's happening from a technical standpoint. And here is, for example, we have current users, their list of stuff, which is related to the data. Basically, everywhere here is something we need to do with data. We need to create something, we need to check on something. So we're going to read the value off of something, or we'll update something, etc., etc. Now that we have done this grid part here, we will now check out the data structure and then be on our way. So our data structure, what do we have here? Well, we have this A/B test inversion, and what this is if you have a test, in our case here, we have our home page that we want to do our test for, and we want to do 3 versions of that. The way that I have this structured is that we are going to create 3 of these in the database. They're all going to have the same value for the test because we're running a test, but then they'll have different versions. We can say what it's for, just an extra description. Then for each of these versions, the important part is our page views and our conversions. We're going to update those when a page view occurs on a unique person, a unique user, and a conversion event occurs. Okay, next up, so to attach the information to the user so that when they leave and they come back, we have this user test assignment. So it just says what tests they have, what version they're in, who they are as a user, and then obviously on the user record, we're just going to have a list of these because potentially you could be running 3 or 4 or 5, tests on your site all at once. On every end of the week, you just drop in and take the numbers and calculate them over into some tool like this, and then there you have it. You'll have a successful working system basically for free. You don't need to install any JavaScript. You don't need to find any third-party tools. You just need to follow this data setup and the setup that we're going to do right now. But let's say first, item number 4 here is your list of tests, which is an option set. So right now we're going to go in and we are going to go to data. We're going to go to option sets and we are going to add a new one and we're going to call it split tests. We'll create it. And in this case, we're going to say homepage hero value prop. So that is our test. And this will, just be here. Next, let's go and create the data. So we're going to add this with this extra flag at the front, but we're going to say A/B test inversion. And we're going to give it these fields. Okay, and so I've got numbers for conversions and page views. The test itself is a option set, and so we know what test this is for. So it is our hero value prop test. In this case, actually, we don't want it to have any default for that. The version we'll just set as A, B, or C, and then what it's for we'll just note that. So now let's actually go and set these up in the database. So we'll add a new entry here, where we'll say this is 0, page views is 0, version is A. What it's for, we're going to say It's the control version, and it's for this test. And then with all of these set up here, basically the difference is now A, B, and C for the version. The control version, we're going to have one that's an emphasis on customize, and then one that's like evocative, poetic, or whatever for this phrasing here. So that's going to be our 3 tests. So if you were to set up future tests, you would just simply add another option and just would be test 2, for example. And then you would create the 3 versions here and assign here test 2 to whatever versions that you create. And then we would, we'll see now in a moment, another data type here for user test assignment, where we have test, version, and user. So test, version, and user, where this test again is going to be related to that. The version will get assigned randomly. And then finally, on the user record, you can see it's a list of user test assignments. So that's a list of this data type. We'll make sure that we mark this as a list. And there it is. So that completes our setup of the data. So we're in the home stretch now. We've done our theory where we are understanding what it is that we're doing, because important, right? For in your world, it will be different than what's going on here. Sort of. You'll be running a different test, but you'll be setting up the same structure of the user comes. If you set up this exact data structure, which we'll see now how to use it, we're going to set up the workflows so that no double counting happens. And then we'll increment the page views and the conversions on the right stuff. And we'll set up our test. So over here on the this area here, what we're going to do is this group, we're going to have it be an A/B test version. It's going to get a data source, and this thing is going to look at its parent group's data source to determine what it should say. When it's version A, we're going to leave it as is. But when it's version B, so that's going to be the parent group's version is B, we're going to update the text. We're just going to have it say create custom art. Okay, we'll now add the final conditional here for this UI. And when it's version C, we want it to say something kind of like poetic and evocative and wow, embrace tomorrow's artistry today. Okay, so these are the ideas that might have surfaced for what it is you want to do in your test. The important point to note here is that you'll have whatever it is being tested, wrap it in something where it has a parent groups with this A/B version test, because then we're going to assign this data to this based upon, the user visiting, being assigned a version, and then depending on that version, we'll see what shows. So let's go and do that now. So when the page is loaded, we're going to display data into a group, and let's look at our group title here. So this is G left column. We're going to say hero, so we know what it is. And the data is going to be, we're going to do a search for the A/B test version, where the test is equal to the one that we know we're running. This is something we know and we assign to this. And we're going to take a random item, and then we're going to do sorted. Or here under the search, we're going to do a random sorting here. Then reminding ourselves of our data stuff here. So remember that we have 3 of these created in the database. Right now we're doing the assignment part. So we came up with something where we randomly picked one of the 3 things we have. Now let's assign that to here. And also, if we were to look back over here and refer back, save which version got assigned, add this to the personal history. We just did the randomly pick part. So let's now save it. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to create a new thing, and that's going to be a new one of these. We'll go ahead with all fields. The test is this one. That's just manually assigned. The user is the current user. The version is this thing's A/B tests version. So we went and we assigned it to this group. We might want to go ahead. I think for me, it's a smart idea to do things like this because Bubble tries to run everything simultaneously. So this is, 5% of a second because these are in milliseconds. So that's pretty quick, but let's say we'll give it 100 milliseconds. That's fine. Just so that we be sure that this runs first and then that this runs after. Now we're going to make a change to the user. So we'll go account, make changes to current user, and on their record, we're going to go and we're going to look for, well, let's see. I guess we actually didn't put a W in front of it, but that's fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the result of step 3. Okay, so now this user, even if it is a not logged in user, if it comes back to our page here, it is going to have this assigned to it. Since it has this assigned to it, we're going to actually use this here in just a second. But we have one more thing to do before that, and that is we're going to go data, make changes to a thing. And again, it's this group. It's this A/B test version, the thing that got assigned here in step 1. And the field we're going to change on it is page views, and it's going to equal the page views from here plus 1. So we've just given that a new page view. So what we've successfully done is this left-hand branch here. We've done all this stuff except for if the user does a conversion. So we have, that's an item on our list to complete. But the other one is this check right here. Let's focus on that. So that check is going to occur here. And this is basically when the current users list of test assignment users that is filtered. Remember, this, you might only have up to, it would be impressive if you got 10 A/B tests out on your site. So this way of doing this is a great way to do it versus we have a current users list of something versus all of the stuff in the data, and then we go look for the user, because you might have, if you have 10,000 users that came to your site in the last 90 days, well, you're going to have like 10,000 of these user test assignments that are out there, saying who's got what where. But so we're going to filter this where the test is equal to this. And we're going to take the count of that. So when we filter it, if it is greater than 0, if it is 0, we know that they've never been here before because the current user doesn't have this test on their record. But so the count is 0. But if it is going to be greater than 0, so we'll just go ahead and paste this, meaning they've already been on this test before, then we can just take all this out. We can take some of this. So this current user's list of assignments filtered to this thing. We'll take the first item and we'll take its version. Nope, rather we'll actually start with this. We'll search for this, and we actually want this to, we want to take this first item of it. We want it to be this, but we want its version. This is where we actually wanted that statement. Well, actually, we want this filtered, where the test equals, in this case, the one that we're running. So what we've done here is we filtered it, and we're matching this one. We want its first item, and we want its version. So this is basically saying this current user has this test in it. Which version do they have? We want this same version to be the one that gets put into here. So if you just follow this string of logic, that for your one that is greater than 0, meaning that the person has it, then take this search for a test, where it's equal to the test that you're running. The version is equal to the current user's list of tests filtered where that test is the one we're running. And it returns a list of 1. So we take the first items, its version. When those versions match, then it's going to feed this one. So if we've already been in version B, it's going to feed the person in the version B. Great. We'll just add a simple thing to our list of things to do. And that is that the user test assignment, actually on the user record itself, for user test assignment, we're going to make that available. And then now we're going to refresh. We're going to watch this run step by step. So this is some animation stuff that's loading, which if you like this animation and this homepage, there is a UX Designer's Introduction to Bubble course, which goes over the building of this page, as well as let's see. I'll get back to that thought, but we can see here that current user's list of test assignments now is, it actually has something in it. So is the count 0? No, it's not 0. So what we see is that this one from number C here, oh, that was some animation stuff that's coming up. But we can see that this has successfully loaded. And also if we look at our database for this, there is only one. And it's version C, and that stuff is now running successfully. And there's one final thing that we'll do now. When the person clicks on here, when they click the purple button, we can do it in both spots, but we're going to only worry about just this one for now. We're going to add a workflow here. So this counts as a conversion. So what we want to do is this group left column that has this version in it, we just want to check what that version is. And it's basically, that's the thing that we want to go and make a change to. So we're going to look on this A/B test version, and we're going to, whatever this is, because it gets assigned when the person reaches the page, so it'll be correct. We're going to take it for as it is, and we're going to say it's conversions plus 1. So let's go see this in action. And if we head over on our database view here of these tests, we can see that it has one page view. And now we're going to see it with Create Art here. And we're going to see if we refresh the data, it has one conversion. So there you have it. If you follow this step by step for setting up this data structure, utilizing your option sets here to just track the tests that you set up, then take each one of those individual versions of a test, set them up over in your database here, assign the workflows when the page is loaded and the user hasn't been set up with this configuration that tracks if they've been to the test before. Just follow it step by step. It's all in the video. And then on the situation where they have been here before, we just assign the one that they have. And if you set up the conversion clicks as seen here, then you're going to have a fully working setup A/B split test that is, you can take those numbers, plop them into a calculator like this, and determine which version of what you're displaying on your Bubble app is having the most impact for your app. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn how to build something like this, where you'll lay out this whole page, do all the animations, everything like that, and learn how to connect together an AI tool like Midjourney into an app, I highly recommend see the description below for the link where you can check out the course information. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more great tips about Bubble, and thanks for watching.